All right, welcome into this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Farzin Vasugian here with you, and it is a crazy Monday. We've got a lot to get into here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast, and boy, oh boy, there is a lot to get into as the Chiefs have been very busy. There's been some positives and some negatives on day one of, I guess, can we call it free agency? We might as well at this point. It is not the start of a new league year yet. Nothing is official, but oh boy, there is a lot to dive into. The Chiefs have unofficially signed the reigning Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker III. That feels weird to say. I thought calling Trent McDuffie a Rams cornerback was weird. This feels weird, but in a great way. The Chiefs re-signed Travis Kelce. They re-signed James Winchester. And they did lose a few defensive backs. Trent McDuffie, of course, got traded last week. Jalen Watson and Brian Cook have new homes. The Chiefs also added a key piece on the defensive side of the football there. So we'll get into all of that and more here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. If you guys want to call into the show, I will have the link for you guys to call in. It'll be commented shortly. Because I know you guys have a lot of thoughts. I see a lot of you guys coming in here. So I'm seeing some familiar names, faces, some commenters we haven't seen in quite some time since the regular season. We've had a lot of conversations in the offseason, but we're definitely gonna have a lot of conversations tonight because a lot of people have a lot to say as the Chiefs have been very active in, I guess, the unofficial day one of free agency. Before we go any further, this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. That's where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs. You guys want to check out the Big 12 tournament that's happening this week in Kansas City, the NCAA tournament right after that, NBA, NHL, baseball season starting up real soon, or maybe you want to save up and watch Kenneth Walker III in person at Arrowhead. You can do that by getting your tickets at SeatGeek. And if you're a new SeatGeek customer, use my promo code Farzin. That saves you $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, get your tickets at checkout. New customers, enter my promo code Farzin. That is $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. All right. So let's get into the big story of the day, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs signing the reigning Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker III. I still can't believe I'm saying that. Listen, a lot of us had our preferences, and I asked you guys last week, who did you guys prefer? Did you prefer Travis Etienne Jr., who signed with the Saints, or Kenneth Walker III? A lot of you guys said Travis Etienne, as did I. I thought he was maybe better suited for the Chiefs offense, especially with what he's done as a pass catcher. I would not have been upset at all with Walker, which is who the Chiefs got. It's one of those, okay, you might have a preference, but you wouldn't be too upset if they went the other direction. That's exactly how I feel. And by the way, what did I tell you guys last week? If the Chiefs did sign Kenneth Walker III, that would have been great for the marketing department for the Chiefs, because then you can just, go out there and promote the team that they have two Super Bowl MVPs. And that's exactly what they got. I mean, this could not have worked out any better if you are working in the marketing department for the Kansas City Chiefs. But we're not really here to discuss that aspect of things. We want to talk about Kenneth Walker III and how he impacts this Kansas City Chiefs offense. And I'm telling you right now, this right now is going to bring the Chiefs much, much needed change on the offensive side of the football. Next Gen Stats and Pro Football Focus have been putting out all of these crazy little fun facts and nuggets about Kenneth Walker III, comparing him to both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco combined. Some of the comparisons have not been so pleasant, but I mean, Walker's on the Chiefs now, so we can't really complain. But The one I saw like the miles per hour, how many times Pacheco and Hunt surpassed 15 miles per hour versus Walker alone. Here was the crazy nugget that I saw. The longest run of the season by a Chiefs running back was Kareem Hunt, 33 yards against Jacksonville. That was the only run by Pacheco or Hunt combined of 25 yards or more. Kenneth Walker had 2 runs of 25 yards or more in the Super Bowl alone. Like the fact that he had 2 runs of 25 plus yards in just one game, the biggest game of the year, mind you, against a really good defense too, in the Patriots. And Pacheco and Hunt only had 1 combined the whole year. I mean, that just tells you how bad the Chiefs' run game was. And they absolutely needed to have this addition for their offense. And I think that's why, we were all so big on, is there any way they can get Jeremiah Love? And if Jeremiah Love is not going to fall tonight, which there's no way in hell he's going to, although I will say it's a little crazy because the team that's picking number 8 and number 9, they both signed a running back. And I think the popular prediction is that the Saints at 8 were going to get him. Well, that kind of got interesting, but neither here nor there. What I will say is that there's a reason why everybody was thinking of all these different possibilities of Jeremiah Love, of Travis Etienne, and Kenneth Walker, who the Chiefs ended up getting. So this move right here, what does it do? Okay, he won Super Bowl MVP. Great. What does that mean? And I'll share that with you right now. Because when you look at what Kenneth Walker accomplished in the playoffs, not just forget the fact that he ran for 135 yards in the Super Bowl. If you just want to look at overall body of work in the playoffs, 313 yards off 65 runs and 4 touchdown runs. He averaged almost 5 yards a carry in the playoffs. And that's not all. He caught 9 passes just north of 100 receiving yards. I mean, this guy had almost 420 yards of total offense in 3 playoff games. That's pretty difficult to do in today's NFL when you consider the fact that running backs just aren't heavily utilized like they used to be. And now you have a running back in Kenneth Walker III who does a lot of good things on the ground, does a lot of good things out of the backfield, and is a pretty strong runner too. Now, would he be viewed as a top 5 running back in today's NFL right now? No, probably not, but I don't think he's too far behind. Now, what does this do for your offense? It opens up the passing game. You bring back Travis Kelce, who I'll get into shortly, but Travis Kelce turns 37 in October. This opens up the entire passing game, and it's going to help out a tight end like Travis Kelce, who's going to see a lot of one-on-one plays and will probably win a lot of those battles. I mean, he looked good this past season, and I'll get into Kelce more later. It's going to help out Xavier Worthy. Hopefully, Tyquan Thornton, hopefully he comes back. It's going to help out Rashee Rice, especially with a lot of those slant plays that a lot of defenses shut down last year. Rice did not look as good as he did in 2024 when he got off to a hot start in those first 3 games. And I recognize it's only 3 games. It's a very small window, but boy, he looked like he was on pace to be a top 5, maybe even top 3 wide receiver in receptions, yards, and touchdown grabs. That's what Kenneth Walker does in helping all of those other guys out on offense. Why does that help him out? Because on the defense, dude, defenses had 0 respect for Kansas City's rushing game, and rightfully so. Why would you respect Kansas City's rushing game? When I read you the stat, their biggest run of the season from a running back came from Kareem Hunt, 33 yards. And by the way, you want to know the crazy thing about that? Patrick Mahomes still led the team in rushing yards for that specific game. where Kareem Hunt had his biggest run of the season. And look, I'm not trying to diminish Hunt specifically. I'd love for Hunt to come back as a number 2 running back. I think that's a better role for him in today's NFL, given that he's not what he once was. Plus, he has a lot of value in those short yardage situations. I remember Jim Nantz and Tony Romo in the games they did last year for the Chiefs. They mentioned that the Hunt bunt, I guess is what they nicknamed it. When I say they, I'm referring to the Chiefs. The Hunt bunt is more effective than the tush push. And that right there is a really key reason as to why you should have Kareem Hunt back. I think bringing Kareem Hunt back gives you a running duo similar to what the Chiefs had in 2010 with Jamal Charles and Thomas Jones when the Chiefs ranked number 1 that year in running the football. Now, they were second worst in passing, but that did open the door for Dwayne Bowe to have a great season because Dwayne Bowe led the league in touchdown catches that season with 15. So, and I'm not suggesting the Chiefs are going to have that exact style of offense, but I think you're going to see some similarities to that offense. I mean, obviously, the Chiefs passing game is going to be better. It's going to open up the entire passing game, which leads me to Patrick Mahomes. Now, we've heard several times this offseason that Patrick Mahomes is expected to be ready for week 1. And listen, you're not going to get any question marks from me about Patrick Mahomes' work ethic. You'd be crazy to even question that kind of thing. Am I still a little on the cautious side? Yeah, I am. I mean, it is that is a pretty speedy recovery considering how violent and physical the sport can be. And look, I'm not suggesting that a team would do this or would want to do this or that anyone, with a conscience wants to see this, but it only takes one defender to want to target that knee. I mean, listen, we saw it with Bountygate years ago, what the Saints tried to do. And by the way, who was the head coach at the time? Sean Payton. Who was Sean Payton coaching? A team in the AFC West that the Chiefs see twice a year in the Broncos. I'm not suggesting that's what Sean Payton's doing now, but you just never want to take a risk with those kinds of things. You never want to risk an injury, especially with Mahomes re-injuring that knee. That's the biggest concern for me. With that said, because it's an ACL tear late in the season, Patrick Mahomes having Kenneth Walker back there with him or behind him, hopefully they run the play action under center. That helps Mahomes a lot more than I think a lot of people realize, because everyone's talking about how this opens up the passing game. And yes, it does. But this also helps out Patrick Mahomes, who's coming back from surgery in mid-December. That is the biggest gift for this Chiefs offense, is that Kenneth Walker's presence is going to help out Patrick Mahomes. And I think if you have Kareem Hunt, that is somebody who's going to complement Kenneth Walker on offense and definitely be using those short yardage situations. And look, I'm not going to rule out Rashard Smith. The Chiefs in 2022, I mean, they had Isaiah Pacheco as their primary running back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that was his third season. He was, your first-round draft pick. I know the Chiefs let him go, and eventually he came back on the practice squad. But at the time, that was your first-round draft pick that you did not want to give up on. But guess what? They still found room to get Jerick McKinnon involved. And I'm wondering if Rashard Smith, they can still find ways to integrate him with this offense, because Patrick Mahomes in 2022 almost won league MVP unanimously because he distributed the football so well across the board. Obviously, that was the first year without Tyreek Hill. That was a year where Patrick Mahomes broke the NFL single season record for passing and rushing yards in a single year by a quarterback. So when you have Rashard Smith, can he still get involved more the same way Jerick McKinnon was heavily involved, especially in the second half of that 2022 season? Look, you're adding some solid depth. If you re-sign Kareem Hunt, you've got some really good depth at the running back position now, because with Pacheco and Hunt last year, that was not depth. You had two running backs who, if we're being completely honest, just weren't quality starters. Neither one of them. Hunt had his moments, but more so in short yardage situations. And I don't want to dismiss that or diminish that, because that's important. We see a lot of defenses come up with big stops in goal line or short yardage situations. And Kareem Hunt, 98 times out of 100, pulls through in the end and wins that battle there to help you get the first down on 3rd and short or 4th and short. I think the Chiefs were top 5 in 4th down attempts this season. So you know they're going to go for it pretty frequently because they want to try to stay on the field and not force their own defense to come back out for so many drives like they did last year. So that's significant right there. And I'm excited to see that do over there. I'm excited to see Kenneth Walker and how this just completely changes the offense, because it's going to. Defenses are going to stack the box. They didn't stack the box last year, and that was a big reason why they were able to do so well against Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown. Look, I know I disagree with a lot of you guys on Hollywood Brown. I'm not suggesting Hollywood Brown was this all-pro player at one point, but he certainly has had much better seasons than what we saw from him last year. Definitely the year before when he missed a bunch of games due to that shoulder injury. By the way, I haven't even mentioned, in my opinion, the biggest part. You have Eric Bieniemy back as your offensive coordinator. I mean, that is significant. It was already significant before today. Look, again, I know we'll disagree on the Hollywood Brown thing. I truly do believe with Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Tyquan Thornton, who I pray to the football gods that they bring back, that is a talented group of wide receivers there. I think a lot of quarterbacks would beg to have a wide receiver quad like that. Absolutely. And I think with Eric Bieniemy changing the scheme, holding guys accountable, which we've talked about a lot, I think that's something that is going to help Kansas City. Now, again, we don't know who they're all going to bring back. We'll have to see. This is just day one, but Eric Bieniemy, and I've said this before, and it is worth repeating right now. Whether Eric Bieniemy was a running backs coach or the offensive coordinator during his time in Kansas City, running backs thrived. Jamal Charles was already great before Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid arrived, but Jamal Charles' best season was in 2013. Had a great 2014 as well. And in 2015, when he got injured, Charkandrick West and Spencer Ware stepped up as a running back duo. Spencer Ware in 2016 was one of the best pass-catching running backs. In 2017, Kareem Hunt led the league in rushing yards. That was Eric Bieniemy's last season as the running backs coach. And then, in his first year as the offensive coordinator, Hunt was a top 5 player when it came to yards from total scrimmage. But unfortunately, he got kicked off the team. We all know the story there. Damian Williams steps up. He balls out in the playoffs. Damian Williams, at one point, held the franchise postseason record for touchdowns scored. Now it's Travis Kelce, but Williams is second. I mean, I don't think that's a player that a lot of people would have expected to be second on the Chiefs' history list for touchdowns scored in the postseason. Then you look at Isaiah Pacheco, who almost went undrafted. And he had a damn good 2022 season, considering he was almost undrafted. He was a 7th round pick and did well that year. Jerick McKinnon in 2022, at the end of the regular season, won AFC Offensive Player of the Month and was big for Kansas City in the postseason in 2021 and 2022. And then look what happened in 2023. Pacheco actually had a solid season that year, but in the playoffs, his level of play went down, and it continued to go down. Hasn't been the same since that injury. The running game has been damn near non-existent for the Chiefs since Bieniemy left. The entire offense has taken several steps back. And I've showed it to you before here on this chart with Nagy versus Bieniemy. The Chiefs were top 6 5 years in a row in total points scored and total yards. And now you look at the Chiefs under Nagy. I mean, they're just not the same offense, not even remotely close to the same. I know a lot of people make a big deal about, Nagy's not the play caller. Andy is. Yes, I'm aware of that. But I don't think that's that's 3 years of evidence right there that the change in the offensive coordinator led to a big drop-off in the offensive performance. And listen, let me just be very clear, because I know a lot of people use that as a knock on Patrick Mahomes. The one narrative I love that's out there about the Chiefs from naysayers is that Patrick Mahomes needed Andy Reid more than Andy Reid needed Mahomes. I mean, if that's the case, why didn't the Chiefs win a playoff game or more than one playoff game with Alex Smith? Why didn't they win a championship with him? Why didn't Andy Reid win a Super Bowl before Mahomes? Did you not see the last 3 games without Patrick Mahomes? They only scored 1 touchdown. Patrick Mahomes has masked a lot of the problems on this offense. And listen, not that, an injury, there's ever a good time for an injury. Having it late in the season certainly can impact the beginning of next season. We'll see. The expectation is he's expected to be there. But I think one blessing in disguise with Mahomes being hurt and not playing in those last 3 games is that we actually saw the glaring holes on offense. I mean, this is not at all something we would have really noticed if Mahomes played those last 3 games. So I think that at the end of the day, this is going to change the Chiefs' offense. Having Eric Bieniemy as your offensive coordinator, that is one big change that needed to happen. The other big change is having that big explosive running back, whether it was Jeremiah Love, Travis Etienne, or Kenneth Walker III. And the Chiefs said, we don't think Jeremiah Love is going to fall to us at 9. And we like Travis Etienne, but we like Kenneth Walker more. So they got the reigning Super Bowl MVP. They have Patrick Mahomes and Kenneth Walker. They have 2 of the last 3 Super Bowl MVPs under contract. Mahomes and Walker, they combine for 4 Super Bowl MVPs. We have some breaking news here. Another Chiefs defensive back is gone. This is Josh Williams. Josh Williams, of course, was part of that 2022 draft class, which featured 5 defensive backs. A lot of them have moved on. Josh Williams has also moved on. He has signed a 2-year deal with the Tennessee Titans. He will be reuniting with L'Jarius Sneed there. And you know what? Let's transition, because I said I was going to get to Kelce, but because I just mentioned that, let's get into the defensive backs, because that's a huge deal right now. This has not been a perfect day for Kansas City. It's been met with some positives and negatives. The big negative is Kansas City's defensive back room. It's like Thanos snapped his fingers and made more than half of the defensive backs vanish. Here's what I will say. I remember in 2021, the Chiefs had some players in the secondary that year they chose to move on from, the most notable one being Tyrann Mathieu. Now they go and get Justin Reed in free agency, and through the draft, the Chiefs had 10 draft picks in 2022 because of the Tyreek Hill trade. 7 of them were defensive players. 5 of those 7 were defensive backs. The first pick in the first round for the Chiefs, because they had 2 first-round picks, was Trent McDuffie. They get Brian Cook in the second round. They get, I'm trying to think, who was the next? I think Josh Williams was the 4th-round pick. They get Jalen Watson and Najee Johnson in the 7th round. So Kansas City had a lot of draft picks that year, 10 to be exact. And 7 of them were used on defensive players. Of the 10 draft picks they had, half of them went to defensive backs. And that secondary did pretty damn well for the last 4 years. Josh Williams did really well in the first couple of years. Didn't see too much of him later on. I know Najee Johnson was not the best cover guy, but boy, Najee Johnson was really damn good when it came to those blitz packages, the Spags special, because Spags runs the nickel and dime package, nickel and dime packages, I should say, more than any other defense in the NFL. Brian Cook and Jalen Watson, both underrated. Cook, one of the more underrated safeties in the league. Jalen Watson, one of the more underrated cornerbacks in the league. Those two guys do a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet. A lot of Kansas City's defensive backs didn't force a lot of turnovers, which is one knock on this defense the last few years. But man, they were able to cover guys pretty damn well. You know, remember that that scene? I can't remember the show where Will Smith. It's a really common GIF that people use, GIF, whatever you call it. Where Will Smith is in the living room with his hands in his pocket and he's just looking around. He's like, "No one's here." Dude, that's Noel Williams right now. He's looking around the quarterback room. He's like, "Wait a minute. Where are all of my teammates who, showed me the ropes as a rookie?" They're all gone. They're all gone. They are all gone. But listen, I'm not all worked up about this like a lot of Chiefs fans are. Here's why. First of all, I mentioned Noel Williams. I really like Noel Williams. I wish he got more playing time last year, but man, whenever he was on the field, he did some good things. He and Christian Fulton were pretty good in those last 3 games as the primary cornerbacks because the Chiefs shut down a lot of their guys in the last 3 to 4 games when the season was basically out of reach. Like I said, Christian Fulton, I like him. They signed him to a 2-year deal. Let's see what he does this year. If he can earn himself a second contract, which is extremely rare in Kansas City. Jaden Hicks. Do you remember in 2024, Hicks's rookie season? The Chiefs had 3 games in 10 or 11 days, including Christmas Day against Pittsburgh. Jaden Hicks got a lot of playing time during those 3 games to kind of help alleviate things in the secondary, especially with workload, work management, that type of thing. And he came through big during those 3 games. I remember the number of snaps he played in those 3 games was equivalent to what he had in the first, 13 or 14 games of that season. And he really came through. And I thought Jaden Hicks looked good in the snaps he played this year. Now, the problem is the playing time for some of the young guys were weird, especially a lot of the rookies. Tyquan Thornton on offense, Jaden Hicks on defense. I'm mentioning guys by name who are non-rookies. So, I mean, with Justin Reed gone last year and Brian Cook now with Cincinnati, dude, this team is going to see a lot of new faces in the secondary. And look, we had this exact same conversation in 2022. I told you guys going into the 2022 season, what was my biggest concern? It was the secondary. The secondary was by far my biggest concern. And that was before we knew what Trent McDuffie was, who, by the way, just became the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. That was before Jalen Watson kind of came into his own. Remember that AFC Championship game, the revenge game against the Bengals? I can't remember who had the first interception. Was it Jalen Watson or Josh Williams? One of them, I want to say Jalen Watson, just adjusted, had this great vertical leap to snatch Joe Burrow's pass. And then later on in the game, whoever the other was between Watson and Williams, I think one of them, or maybe it was Brian Cook, who deflected the pass that was intended for T. Higgins in the end zone, and the other rookie on rookie help basically helped get that interception off the tip. I mean, dude, Kansas City's defensive backs as rookies thrived, and Jalen Watson did some good things whenever he wasn't dealing with injuries, which he dealt with a little bit. But he is reuniting with Trent McDuffie in LA as a member of the Rams. So let me just take you back to 2022. Like I said, 5 of the 10 draft picks, half of your draft picks were defensive backs, and they're going to do it again. For the time being, they have 9 defensive backs. I thought it was 10 because the Chiefs had 6. They got 4 from the McDuffie trade, and they just got a compensatory pick today in the 5th round. But it still appears the Chiefs have 9 picks. Let me see if that has been updated, because I could have sworn I thought it was going to be 10. Let's see. Spot Track is not up to date. Let me see Tankathon. Tankathon usually is pretty good with this stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it still shows 9. I don't know. I thought it was 10, but it's 9. Still, you have a lot of draft picks now. I mean, it's a lot of draft capital, because a week ago, the narrative on Kansas City's draft was they don't have a lot to work with. And that's why the number 9 pick, whatever they end up using it on, needs to be the right pick. They've got to hit on that. Now they have the number 9 pick and the number 29 pick, as well as pick 40. In fact, when you look at the Chiefs, they have 4 picks in the top 75. And that is a grand opportunity to bring in a lot of guys who can be not necessarily starters on day one, but they can be key contributors right away. That you certainly can do. And I think with Kansas City's approach in this draft, I think it's going to be a defensive heavy draft. I think you will see a wide receiver and an offensive tackle get taken somewhere in the draft. Maybe running back if Kareem Hunt doesn't return. But I think outside of an offensive tackle and a wide receiver, maybe a guard, I think at least 6 of the 9 draft picks, assuming the Chiefs don't trade, which we know Brett Veach is going to be very active with, I think 6 of your 9 picks can be defensive players. And listen, I'll say this, because now that you have Kenneth Walker and you don't have to pray for a Hail Mary of Jeremiah Love falling to 9, I'm not going to dismiss the possibility that the Chiefs could trade out of the number 9 pick and maybe add more draft picks in late April. I think that's certainly on the table. I would rather they stay where they are, having an early first-round pick and a late first-round pick. You can find 2 solid contributors, guys who could be day 1 starters, for sure. You got an early second-round pick. There's a chance you might see someone there that could be a day 1 starter, or at the very least could play a lot in week 1. I mean, I at least hope the playing time is going to be much better this year. So we'll see. But ultimately, the Chiefs, I think it's going to be a defensive-heavy draft. Yes, there is a lot of concern with defensive backs leaving the Chiefs. It's going to be addressed in the draft, guys. They addressed it in 2022 and had 5 rookies that year, and they did well. I mean, Najee Johnson didn't play that year, but man, the guys who did play stepped up, and they came through. And I trust the Chiefs will do it again, and I hope you guys can feel the same way. If you guys want to call in with any of your thoughts on the Chiefs signing Kenneth Walker III, the defensive backs moving on, or anything else that we'll discuss later on, please call in. The link right there. All you got to do is click on the link, turn on your audio, your video, put in your name, and you will be on hold, and we'll get you on the Chiefs Zone podcast. Let's get into Travis Kelce, because Travis Kelce has re-signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. There was some weird reporting on Sunday about whether or not the Chiefs are going to have Travis Kelce back. Really? Like people really try to install this narrative that Kelce's actually, going to test the market and all this stuff. Come on. I mean, listen, never say never, but come on. Kelce was not looking to play anywhere else. He just wasn't. No way. So the details we have on Travis Kelce, and this came out about a couple of hours ago, Travis Kelce has signed a 1-year deal worth $12 million for the 2026 season with a chance for it to go up to $15 million. I asked you guys last night if Travis Kelce was asking for $15 million, would you be okay with that? A majority of you said yes. The poll was actually really, really close across all of my social media, but the majority said that if he wants $15 million, that is worth the price for Travis Kelce. And that is exactly what he signed for, a deal that gives him the maximum of $15 million. Listen, let me just say this about Travis Kelce, and I'll keep it short here. Number one, Ian Rappaport said earlier today on NFL Network that he was actually supposed to receive significant interest, which is funny because you ask the average Chiefs hater, they're going to tell you that Travis Kelce is washed up and can't play anymore, yet he looked better this past year than the year before, which is pretty impressive for a guy who turned 36 during the season. And teams apparently really wanted him. Now, is there a team out there that might have been aggressively trying to pursue Kelce for business purposes because of his popularity with Taylor Swift and all? Sure, I'm not going to dismiss that possibility. But ultimately, you don't spend a lot of money in free agency because Taylor Swift is going to attend your games. You just don't do that. And by the way, speaking of Taylor Swift, I know there's this narrative out there that, he is going to play for a cheap price because he's about to marry a multi-billionaire. I mean, I've said many times that her money is not his. Sure, they're about to get married, but Travis Kelce, even before dating Taylor Swift, has always been willing to play for less than what he truly deserves. I mean, Travis Kelce did not make 17 million plus in back-to-back years up until this past year. I mean, go look up his career earnings on Spot Track. You'll see it. And Kelce just took this $12 to $15 million deal. I want to call it a team-friendly deal, but I think it's certainly a deal that is good for Kansas City. Kelce could have asked for more. And Rappaport, in his report this morning, did say that Kelce is going to turn down more money to stay in Kansas City. Dude, Kelce's just never been never been the guy about the money. Kelce makes a lot of money, even before his relationship with Taylor Swift. He had the Saturday Night Live gig many years ago that opened up opportunities for him in the entertainment industry, the acting industry, his podcast, which again, he started well before meeting Taylor. That's doing really well. Garage Beer, and before that, he was doing partnerships with Bud Light. I mean, those are not cheap endorsements there. He made a lot of money doing those things. And, he's had, does he have maybe slightly more opportunities because of Taylor? Sure, perhaps. But at the end of the day, he was already getting a lot of these opportunities before her. The TV show he's hosted, Smarter Than a Fifth Grader or whatever it's called on Prime. I mean, he's making a lot of money off the field. Money's never been the issue for Travis Kelce. Does he still want to get his piece of the pie in a fair way? Sure, absolutely. And no one can ever be upset about that. But he still did it in a way to where he's not demanding what any tight end of his caliber would really ask for, while also not putting the Chiefs in a bind with the salary cap. And that you can highly appreciate about Travis Kelce. If you guys want to call in, I will comment one more time with the link right now. I want to hear from you guys. Share your thoughts. Oh, by the way, I forgot 1587 Prime. Who could forget that? Part ownership in that. By the way, the story with that and the shoe company, how they were trying to permanently shut down, or not permanently, temporarily shut down 1587 Prime, and the judge rejected that. That was comical. But if you guys want to call in, the link is right there in the chat. All you've got to do is click on it, turn on your audio, your video, put in your name, and you'll be on hold, and we'll get you on the podcast. Bob's been waiting. He's going to weigh in on the Chiefs offseason. What's up, Bob? How are you feeling?
Man, what a fucking move, baby.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you're getting the MVP of that team, man.
Hey, by the way, how are you feeling? You feeling better?
I'm feeling great, man. Thanks for asking. I survived. I'm an old timer, man. I'm going to live through that shit. It's going to take more than that to kill my ass. But hey, you know what a day, man. I kind of missed out on the Cook disappearance. You know, I missed that. But and Williams, I didn't know he was shopping either. But you know, things are going to happen. And I told you my boy's coming back, man.
Yeah,
I knew he was coming back. I knew he wasn't going to let us down. He's going to come back for Patrick one more year, man. And I hope he has a great season, man, because he's worth $15 million. He's never been greedy, and that's more than I can say about Chris Jones. And you know, so you know how I feel about him.
yeah.
I hope we get a lot out of him because we're going to spend a lot of money to get help for him, and because we got to take this number 9 and 29 and turn them into gold mines, man.
I agree. Yeah,
And you know,
hit on those 100%.
We got to have hits on them, whether it's Bain or whatever. I mean, we gotta go, you know. And I'm like you. I think if they trade that number 9 and what if they get three spots out of it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they need as many players as they can get their hands on right now because the defense is pretty thin.
Yeah.
I think our offense is pretty set. I do think that Hunt can stay around and be a short yardage back, and you know do some relieving. Because I'm like with Brad, he commented that he's running that he gets injured a lot, you know. So we'll see. He looked all like a horse in the Super Bowl. Is all I can tell you.
Yeah.
And you know, I would have been excited. I was rooting for Love all along.
Yeah.
And you know, but to get this caliber of running back, you know, and we're paying him a lot of money, man. It could be up to $45 million
Yeah.
for 3 years, and that's a lot of jack. So let's hope he lives up to it. And I'm happy that he's in Kansas City. And welcome to the kingdom, because he's going to find out, man. We get behind our team and we ride. There's a guy out there that's being a posture on our show tonight. He's being an ass, so I told him to take his shit and hit the road, man. So he's not a Chiefs fan. He's on here to agitate all of us.
Listen, you never acknowledge the trolls. I learned that a long time ago.
Oh, me and Brad's going to buy him a ticket. Let him come to your live show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, man, I'm excited like the rest of you. And welcome everybody in the kingdom. If I missed saying hello to you.
Right.
It's going to be a fun time, man.
All right. Appreciate it, Bob. Thanks for calling in. Oh, sorry. I cut him off there. But I appreciate the call nonetheless. He mentioned one thing that I forgot to add. The contract for Kenneth Walker. Yeah, that's a 3-year deal worth $45 million. Look, is that a lot for a running back? I don't know, man. Sometimes I see these contracts. Sometimes I'll see trades. Some teams will offer like a 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick. I'm like, man, I wish Kansas City did that. I don't know what's considered a lot these days in the NFL. I really don't. What I do know is it's going to make a difference for your team. That is what matters. Listen, I know Jawan Taylor was making a lot of money last year. But man, you could have paid him double the amount, and I would still say get his ass off the field because he turned into a liability with the penalties. And somebody else mentioned this in the chat, and I didn't get a chance to read it. But yeah, no Jawan Taylor at right tackle. That erases the excessive penalties. A lot of drive-killing penalties. Man, the amount of drive-killing penalties that Jawan Taylor committed was just awful. It really set the Chiefs' offense back. Now, are we going to see drive-ending penalties? Yeah. Are we going to see them consistently? Hopefully not. Probably not. Listen, you're going to live with those penalties as long as they don't happen so many times in the course of a season, or in Jawan Taylor's case, 3 years. So I think at the end of the day, this is one of those situations where it's like, you're bettering your offense. Look, I'll tell you right now. I think this Chiefs offense looks better. And listen, it's March the 9th. They don't play on March 9th. They don't even play in April or May or June or July. They start preseason games in August. you get a nice glimpse of what the team will look like. Well, we don't start playing the games until September. But for now, you do feel like this offense is getting better. Absolutely feel like they're getting better. Appreciate Bob calling in. If you guys want to call in, the link is right there in the chat. We'll continue commenting with that throughout the throughout the night, rather. Because again, I know there are a lot of thoughts, and I know a lot of you guys want to weigh in. Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones, by the way, they commented. I remember Chris Jones tweeted, "We're so back," in response to Kelce's announcement. Not announcement from Kelce, but the reporting of Kelce coming back. And then Mahomes, in all caps, "Let's go," with a couple of the bicep flex emojis. And obviously the Chiefs leadership crew, I mean, they feel pretty good about the team right now. That's a big deal. That certainly is. Now the Chiefs, the Kenneth Walker signing was not the only addition today. The Chiefs, they got a member of the NFC Championship team and the team that won the Super Bowl with their Super Bowl MVP, but they also got a member of the reigning AFC champions, the Patriots, Kyrie's Tonga, who is considered an underrated defensive tackle. He is signing with the Chiefs on a 3-year deal worth $21 million. Now, why are the Chiefs making this move for Kyrie's Tonga? One reason is Mike Pennell looks like he's going through some things in terms of legally off the field being accused of domestic violence, which, you know, it's unfortunate. It's happening again. So they're moving on from Pennell. He's also up there in age. Another player they have, Omar Norman-Lott, who I still think can be a good football player, but he dealt with multiple injuries last year. So you're going to need some help on your defensive line. And getting Tonga is a pretty significant addition here. When you look at Tonga, not necessarily the best when it comes to stopping the run. That's where Turk Warden absolutely excelled in. Derek Nottie was fairly solid at stopping the run up until last year. But he is one of the better pass rushing interior defensive linemen. Tonga, that is. So that's very important for your defensive line. And I think having a guy like Tonga, I mean, listen, when you sign into a 3-year deal averaging $7 million a year, that's somebody who's going to be a starter for you. And I think the goal of having a guy like Tonga, 6'4", 338, he's going to take away double teams from Chris Jones. And I know a lot of people have recognized that when they watch the games. Andy Reid's pointed that out in some press conferences. Well, now you got someone whose duty is going to be to help Chris Jones avoid one-on-one situations. Now, I don't think you're done with defensive line yet. Could the Chiefs get 2 defensive linemen in this year's draft? I certainly think so. I'm really big on Ruben Bain Jr. I know Bob was talking about that. When it comes to, I can't think of the guy from Mizzou. Bear with me. What's his name? Zion Young. Zion Young might be a guy that the Chiefs take either late in the first round or early in the second round. They could also look at TJ Parker from Clemson. Speaking of Clemson, one guy I really do like in terms of the middle of your defensive line would be Peter Woods, Christian Miller, Lee Hunter. Those are guys the Chiefs could consider either late in the first round or early in the second. Now, with the addition of Tonga, where does defensive tackle fall on their list of priorities here? Because a lot of people will agree running back and defensive line are both important for Kansas City. Obviously, you address 2 of those positions. And when I say defensive line, I should break it up. Defensive tackle and defensive end. You got your running back You got your defensive tackle. Now, is he going to be the guy that you want? I don't know about that. I still think the Chiefs will consider a key defensive tackle in the first 3 picks, whether it's pick 9, pick 29, or pick 40. Because anything you can do to help your front 4, you need to do. The front 4 has been a weak point of Kansas City's, and they're spending a lot of money on that. George Karlaftis is playing under the 5th-year option. Chris Jones has the highest paid contract for a defensive tackle in NFL history. They invested a 2nd-round pick in Omar Norman-Lott. They're paying $7 million a year to a number 2 defensive tackle. So if you're going to draft another one, no problem. I would love a guy like Peter Woods or Caden McDonald, even from Ohio State. Ohio State's got a lot of really good players. Caleb Downs, Cardinal Tate, Clemson and Ohio State, man, as well as Texas Tech, they could see multiple guys in the first round. Certainly Clemson and Ohio State, but we'll see. I digress. The point I'm trying to make here is Florida, by the way, because Florida's got Caleb Banks, who's a good defensive tackle that the Chiefs might add. If the Chiefs were to address the defensive line with their first-round picks at 9 and 29, again, this is assuming they don't trade, that's going to help your defense a lot. It'll help your secondary a lot. If you have a really good front 4, that's going to help your secondary. It can make a bad secondary look average, and it can make an average secondary look good, and a good secondary look even better. So, and I'm interested to see how they play this. Because when you look at what the Chiefs have in their draft selections, and by the way, let me see what Pro Football Focus has, because we were confused earlier about how many draft picks the Chiefs are supposed to have. I thought it was 10, but I'm seeing people list Kansas City's draft selections, and I only see 9. So that kind of confused the hell out of me. Let me just see what PFF's, what do they have? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, this is confusing. They have the same player twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, something went wrong with PFF's mock draft. Bear with me here. I mean, regardless, you have, let's just say 9 draft picks. That's going to help your team. You can do a lot. If you can find ways to address both the defensive line and your secondary, I think the Chiefs defense will be just fine at the end of the day. I already feel like your offense, if you're Kansas City, on paper, you have significant improvement. Okay, let me see. Maybe this will be better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, see, PFF has it at 9. I thought the Chiefs had 9 before today. I thought with the comp pick, it would have been 10, but I don't know, man. I must have missed something, because I thought it was 6 before the McDuffie trade. Then it was 4 more with the McDuffie trade. So that put you, I don't know. I'm going crazy here. I can't even count. I thought it was 10, but it seems like it's 9. No, Brad, the comp pick is because of Justin Reed. I thought it was going to be Justin Reed and Turk Wharton. Turns out it's just 1. Are you counting the Rams 27 pick? I'm not. I do know that there's a future 3rd in there. Oh, maybe that's where no, Don. Actually, that's a valid point. I forgot. Not all 4 picks are this year. So it was 6 before the McDuffie trade. 1, 2, 3. That's 9. So the comp pick should have been 10. This is what I'm confused about. I swear, unless there's, because they traded away a 7th rounder for Peyton Hendershot, which is kind of comical looking back at it. Because what was his only significant thing he did? He shoved a player in that week 1 game. Who was it? Roquan Smith. And then the Chiefs traded away a 6th round pick for Josh Uche. That's also laughable considering they barely used him, but neither here nor there. I mean, listen, you have 9 picks. You should be fine. That gives you plenty of chances to fix things. plenty of opportunities to improve your defense. Superman says, do you think they're going to restructure Chris Jones' contract? Yeah, that might still be on the table. Listen, you cannot restructure too many contracts. It's going to be either him or Creed Humphrey. One of those two. Maybe Trey Smith, but I don't know. I mean, he just signed a new deal last offseason, so we'll see. Cat, what's up, Cat? He was a decoy. His stats were mainly around blocking and opening of other play. And listen, yeah, you're right. And I know the big knock on Kelce is, oh, he can't block. He actually can. And he actually showed it more last year than any other year, I felt like. So the narrative that Kelce can't block or can't play, no. Farzine, are we going to do a live during the draft? See, I've thought about this. It's gonna be hard for me to track things and be live with you guys. I'll give it a try. I've thought about doing preseason games, regular season games, man. Listen, I ain't gonna lie to you all. I'd rather be watching games in my man cave, but who knows? I mean, if we're going to continue to grow, we might need to start making those changes. But I'll think about it. Do you guys want to? I don't even know how I'm going to handle the if we do a live stream during the draft. I don't know how we handle it, because originally it was just the number 9 pick. Now it's number 9 and 29. I don't. You guys tell me, would you guys want a live stream during the draft? Would you guys follow along all 4 hours? Because that is going to be a damn long night. Because originally it was just going to be the number 9 pick, and hey, we do our live podcast and whatnot. This might turn into a 4-hour event here. I don't want to just talk to myself for 4 hours. So if you guys do express interest in this, then sure, yeah, I'll consider it. Yeah, I know other podcasts do it. I've never been a fan of doing things just because other people do it. If I'm gonna do it, I want to make sure I do it right. And that's a big deal with the live show that we're gonna do later this month at Planet Comic-Con. I only wanted to do it if we're gonna do it right. And I told the people at Planet Comic-Con not to reveal too many private conversations, but I said, look, every single person involved, me, our special guest, which turned out to be Duron Cherry and Neil Smith, as well as the venue, the hosts, Planet Comic-Con, it's got to be a fair deal for everyone. It's got to make sense for every single party member involved. I always wanted to make things done right. So you guys want it. Okay. I mean, it's kind of hard to go against the people, I will say. You watch Twilight and tell us you don't. I don't know if that was directed to me or to somebody else. I have never seen Twilight. I could tell you the actors in Twilight, but I have never seen a damn Twilight film. Is it just Twilight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many they have? I don't know. By the way, speaking of Planet Comic-Con, this is a perfect time to let you guys know that later this month, March 29th at 2:30 p.m., I will be hosting the first ever Chiefs Zone Live. And like I said earlier, joining me for that one, Chiefs Hall of Famers, Neil Smith and Duron Cherry. So Planet Comic-Con on Sunday goes from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Before the live show begins at 2:30, Duron and Neil will be doing a meet and greet in the Celebrity Row area. So you guys can take some time to go talk to those guys, get an autograph, get a picture, and then they'll come do the Chiefs Zone Live with me. And after that, they'll go back for the remaining, 2 hours, and they'll finish up their meet and greet. And if you guys want to meet them, you guys want to say hi to me, would love to meet you guys, go to planetcomiccon.com and click on the yellow box that says buy tickets. You can get a 3-day weekend pass, or you can get just a Sunday pass. And by the way, ages 12 and under on Sunday, they get to attend Planet Comic-Con for free. That is only for Sunday. You still need to get a ticket for them, but you will not be charged anything. So again, kids 12 and under get to attend for free. Get your tickets and attend the first ever Chiefs Zone Live at Planet Comic-Con. This will take place at the Kansas City Convention Center in downtown Kansas City Again, get your tickets at planetcomiccon.com. All right, what other Chiefs news and notes here? I mentioned some of the losses. We went over the defensive backs today. Brian Cook to Cincinnati, Jalen Watson to the Rams, Trent McDuffie last week traded to the Rams, and we learned during the podcast tonight that Josh Williams has joined the Tennessee Titans, reuniting with L'Jarius Sneed. And by the way, to go back to the secondary thing, keep in mind, I mean, the Chiefs had Marcus Peters, traded him away. They turned out to be okay. Peters led the league in interceptions those 3 years put together as a member of the Chiefs. The Chiefs also drafted L'Jarius Sneed. They moved on from him and they were okay. So at the end of the day, as much as I hate to see fan favorites like Marcus Peters, L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie move on, the Chiefs have been okay without them when they did it before, and they're going to do it again. So those are some of the departures we've seen with the Chiefs. Trent McDuffie, by the way, put out a big statement thanking Chiefs Kingdom. And in his closing comments, he says, KC will be a part of me forever, which is, you'll always love hearing that kind of thing. The fan base certainly had an impact. And listen, winning certainly helps. It certainly does. Now, the Chiefs did lose a quarterback today. Gardner Minshew is no longer going to return to Kansas City. He is a member of the Arizona Cardinals. He is not expected to be a starter. To my understanding, it is going to be Jacoby Brissett who will start for the Arizona Cardinals. But Gardner Minshew, who dealt with a knee injury to end his season, he is on his way to Arizona. If you guys want to call in, I'm just reading some comments here. If you guys want to call in, last call to call in, I will comment with the link below here, and you guys can take the time to call in, ask me anything. I'll read a few more comments before I get out of here. I do want to react to some of the big stories outside of Kansas City. I think the most shocking one today, Mike Evans. Mike Evans left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I did not see that coming. Why not go back to the Bucs? Were the Bucs not willing to pay him? I mean, I don't know. That was interesting. Like, look at Kelce. That dude wants to live and breathe and get buried a Chief. And I thought Mike Evans had maybe a very similar relationship with the Bucs. I mean, they helped him get the 1,000 yards he needed to have it, 9 or 10 years in a row of 1,000 receiving. You know how incredibly difficult that is to have 1,000 receiving yards that many years consecutively. The Broncos had a very interesting day. They re-signed their linebacker, Alex Singleton, but they cut Dre Greenlaw. And listen, we're a little familiar with Dre Greenlaw, seeing him in Super Bowl 58. I think that he was the one who had that injury just leaving the sidelines. So the Broncos, I'm seeing some Broncos fans kind of outraged. I don't think Broncos fans are pretty pleased with how the offseason's going. The Chargers have been active. The Raiders have been very active. The Raiders have the most draft capital and the most cap space, spending a lot of money, which leads me to the reason why they have a lot of draft capital and cap space. They traded Max Crosby late Friday night to the Baltimore Ravens for 2 first-round draft picks. Listen, I saw Raiders fans were not happy about this. Raiders fans were pushing back against a lot of the reporting out there that Crosby was going to get traded. Raiders fans did this with me years ago when I told them that Khalil Mack is going to get traded for 2 first-round draft picks. Look, you have Khalil Mack. You trade him for 2 first-round draft picks. You trade Max Crosby. You get 2 first-round draft picks. Now, I still remember in the span of 2 years, I think it was 2018 and 2019, the Raiders had 5 first-round draft picks in those 2 years combined. Can anybody tell me what they did with those draft picks? I mean, Damon Arnett ended up being a knucklehead. He was briefly a Chief if anyone can even consider him a member of the Chiefs. Henry Ruggs, definitely, a knucklehead doing what he did off the field. Josh Jacobs, wasn't he a first-round pick during that window? I mean, he did great. But that didn't lead to anything. I know they made I had a Raiders fan tell me, well, they made the playoffs in 2021. Folks, 42% of the league makes the playoffs now. Making the playoffs once since 2020 is nothing impressive. Nothing impressive. Not one bit. I mean, they still have not won a playoff game. Listen, I said this a year ago when the Raiders got Pete Carroll. I said, look, if you want to justify firing Antonio Pierce for Pete Carroll, who's 7,400 years old, fine. But I guess you do it when that 74-year-old is Pete Carroll. The problem is Pete Carroll had the highest paid offensive coordinator, fired him, fired the special teams coach as well, and he ended up getting fired. I mean, the Raiders are firing coaches, not even giving them a full year as the full-time head coach. Look, I'll say it again. With the Raiders, I will believe it when I see it. That's nice that they have all this cap space, and they're certainly spending a lot of it today. But I'll believe it when I see it. The Raiders are that team that you just don't trust. The Raiders had every reason to succeed years ago when they got Davante Adams, and they didn't. They were choking leads away. I mean, if you watch that receiver on Netflix, and I know there's a lot of editing in television, I get that, but you can't edit someone to say certain things, and Davante Adams made it very clear he was pissed and he wanted out of Vegas. So, listen, I don't know, man. Like the Raiders, it gets to a point where you actually feel bad. Like really, really bad. Look at the Patriots. The Patriots sucked for a couple of years after Brady left. Okay, they had that one good year with Mac Jones, but they were overall just bad. And they rose to the top of the AFC faster than teams that have been getting top 5, top 10 picks. The Patriots just needed a couple of bad years. And of course, the right head coach. But look at them. They're now considered a contender in the AFC. Some teams get top 10 picks for years and they can't rebuild this quickly. Let's see. Do we have more breaking news? There are questions about whether Alvin Kamara will be moving on from the Saints following the Travis Etienne Jr. signing. Dude, that is weird. The two teams that I thought, were heavily interested in Jeremiah Love both got running backs. I guess both of them are certain that Jeremiah Love is not falling to 8 or 9. And I agree. I mean, 8 maybe, but 9, no way. They both believe someone else is going to get Love. That's why they both signed veteran running backs. Any idea on what we do to fill our cornerback spots? It's going to be through the draft, Kimberly. A lot of it's going to be through the draft. I think they'll get, a second or a third tier safety and cornerback, but a majority of the rebuilding with that position group is going to be through the draft. They have 9 draft picks right now. Yeah, Clark, I agree. AFC West is going to be competitive once again. Again, though, I still stand on the Raiders. That is a team where, I'll believe it when I see it. Because I think the Raiders have had every reason to get people to believe that they're going to finally turn it around. And they never do. They just never do. And listen, they could get every draft pick. They could get every key free agent. And I still would not believe it until it happened. In terms of their turnaround, that is. Yeah, I think Love to the Titans is probably better. That's going to help out Cam Ward, who did not have a great rookie campaign. And that's a team that's really got to turn around. I mean, look, they fired Vrabel, and then they fired Vrabel's replacement. And then they chose between Robert Saleh, who I like, and the other guy was Matt Nagy. No. Definitely. I mean, look, Matt Nagy got a C+ when the offensive coordinator got graded, because now they have assistant coaches getting grades. Yeah, they were ready to move on from him. But yeah, man, we covered a lot here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. I appreciate you all joining me tonight. Oh, by the way, one other note I forgot to mention, the Chiefs did re-sign James Winchester over the weekend. He is now the highest paid long snapper in NFL history. The Chiefs have the highest pay. They gave the biggest contract ever to Mahomes. They gave a big contract to Kelce. I think that made him the highest paid tight end ever. Highest paid center, highest paid guard, highest paid defensive tackle, highest paid kicker, highest paid long snapper. The cornerback they drafted became the highest paid cornerback, not by the Chiefs, but by the Rams. Boy, I was told Brett Veach doesn't draft well, and the cornerback he just drafted got paid the bank. Winchester, I know, was not a draft pick per se, but he's been kept around a long time, and I'm glad he's coming back for another year. Look, he's a long snapper. That's not a position where you're, losing a lot of tread in those tires. So, and I'm trying to find that number. What was it? A 1 year, $1.75 million. So good on him. Listen, 1.175 million, almost 2 million. You don't live large on that kind of a deal. You still got to be extremely smart with it. But good for Winchester. He's snapping the football and making a lot of money doing it nonetheless. And looks like he's being smart with it. Leo Chenal is still a free agent. That's a surprise to me. And to my understanding, and I've seen some reports on this, a lot of teams are expected to be calling Leo Chenal. The Bills, the Bengals, the Packers, the Giants. A lot of teams have interest in Leo Chenal right now. The Commanders, the Ravens. So, listen, I'll say it again. Chenal is going to be a great asset, not just on defense, but also on special teams. Here's another interesting note involving the Chiefs today. This came from Albert Breer's Monday Morning Quarterback. So A.J. Brown of the Eagles, we know the Eagles, there's been some drama behind closed doors. Guys just aren't happy being where they are. A.J. Brown clearly wants out of Philly. Now, according to Albert Breer, he has a wish list. That wish list includes 4 teams: the Bills, the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, he did say that the Chargers, he doesn't think the Chargers are going to go after Brown, nor will the Bills, because the Bills just got DJ Moore. Chargers are going to focus on offensive line and edge rusher, and he feels the Chiefs will also focus on offensive line and edge rusher, as well as running back. Now, keep in mind, this report was before the Kenneth Walker signing. Plus, I don't know if they could afford A.J. Brown. I think the wide receiver room is okay if you bring back Thornton. Xavier Worthy is going to be around for a while, I think. I don't know about Rashee Rice's future. If I had to guess, I think this is his final season. Maybe they franchise tag him and trade him if he absolutely balls out. And I think there's a chance of that with Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator. I think the overall offensive scheme will be better. But I just don't know if the Chiefs really have that much interest in A.J. Brown. I just don't see it. Yeah, he wants out of the NFC. Yeah, his entire wish list of 4 teams they're all AFC. They're all AFC, 100%. Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, that is all for the Chiefs news and notes here. I think we covered everything, so we're going to go ahead and sign off here. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Central Time, and we'll recap more of the Chiefs offseason activity, as well as talk about some of the other news and notes around the NFL. We'll also do a podcast Wednesday night, so do not miss that either. All of them will be 7 p.m. Central Time. If there's breaking news that comes up Thursday night, we'll definitely do a podcast. But as of now, do not expect a Thursday podcast. Friday, 5 p.m., however, we will have the Red Friday Q&A live chat. So be on the lookout for that. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thechiefszone. A lot of views on our video content on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So I appreciate everyone that's been consuming the content, sharing them as well. That really, when you guys like, share, comment, I know those all seem pretty harmless things, but even just giving it a like really does help out a lot. The more you do, commenting, sharing, that really helps out. And of course, now is when things really pick up, and it's going to get quiet until late April. So thank you all for doing that. If you haven't already, get your tickets to the first ever Chief Zone Live. That's going to be at Planet Comic-Con Kansas City in the Kansas City Convention Center, Sunday, March 29th, 2:30 p.m. Join me for that. Get your tickets at planetcomiccon.com. Otherwise, my name is Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me once again on this busy Chief Zone podcast. I will chat with you all tomorrow night. Peace out.